Alright, welcome back to the Janky News Update, the show where I, your host Janky, brings you all the latest news, discussions, and controversies from the past week in gaming. And today is Monday, December 8th, and we have a lot of news on the docket, and let me tell you, it is depressing. It was a pretty rough week in gaming, and a lot of the news we're talking about today is not really going to fill you with confidence or excitement. But if you're into that kind of thing, then you've come to the right place, because we're going to go over all of it, we're going to explain it, we're going to give my opinions, and just overall kind of give you the down low on what's happening in gaming. So sit back, put down your controller, mute your game chat, and let's jump right into it with some news about Hitman 4 and what's happening with IO Interactive. So with IO Interactive spending the last few years developing the new James Bond game, 007 The First Light, a lot of fans have been rightfully concerned about where the series of Hitman is going, whether they're going to get more games, whether IO is just going to focus on bigger IP from now on. And they have the right to be concerned, right? I mean, with James Bond money, creative direction can change really quickly. But CEO Hakan Abrak recently came out and put all those worries to rest. He said, and I'll quote, "Of course there will be more Hitman. The catch is that it's gonna take a while. They're still actively working on the new co-op mode for Hitman World of Assassination, and as well as the 007 title that they're working on. So, in my opinion, we won't really see much from Hitman series in terms of a new title until both the 007 game's out and IO Interactive is happy with Hitman World of Assassination. And honestly, as someone who plays barely any Hitman games, I think that a fully fleshed out co-op mode in an already great game is a lot more interesting than a brand new title that they haven't really had any time to work on. So this, for me, isn't a bad thing, but if you're a big Hitman fan, if you're a diehard of the series, let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about this? Is this something that you're upset about? Are you just happy playing World of Assassination? As I said before, they're working on the 007 series and continuing support for the current Hitman game, but they also have another game in the works. We don't really know much about it, but it's a brand new IP and set in a fantasy world. So that definitely has my attention. Metroid Prime 4 launched this week to some mixed reviews. And look, the last Prime game came out in 2007, and people were hyped for this one. I mean, rightfully so, right? With the later entries in the series being Metroid Dread, which is widely regarded as one of the best Metroid games of all time. People were expecting some, innovation, something new, something cool with the Metroid series. But this game is kind of just more Metroid Prime. I mean, I haven't personally had time to get into it. I haven't even finished Metroid Dread, and that's been out for like 4 years. I seriously need to get my backlog situation under control, but I don't think I'm gonna jump into this one anytime soon. It kinda looks boring. It doesn't really look to innovate on anything. It's just more Metroid Prime, kind of the same thing that we got in 2007 with slightly better graphics, and that desert open world area that you have to drive between missions looks like something that should have died in 2010. That looks dreadful. I have no idea how they shipped the game with that in it. It looks horribly boring and empty and just looks like something that came out when open world was cool and people were like, oh, we need to make our world bigger and that'll make people want to buy the game. It looks just dreadful. Like, it doesn't look good. The actual missions in the game, the actual like dungeon crawling, if you can call it that, kind of experience looks a lot better, but it just doesn't really look like something that I'm into, and I think a lot of people are in the same boat. But hey, I'm just a guy who hasn't even played the game, yapping about lack of innovation. So if you've played it and you like it, let me know. Reviews are all over the place. Some love it, some hate it, so I'd like to know where you guys are at. The one thing about this game that has people furious is the $30 amiibo minifigure, or figurine, I guess, that you can buy to unlock some different things in the game. It unlocks a soundtrack that you can listen to on your motorbike. It unlocks this shield that you can use once a day to block damage, and just a few little in-game things, right? And a lot of people are upset about this because, microtransactions, big buzzword right now, like, no one wants to have to buy more on top of the game that they already spent $85 on if you're in Canada. That's how much it costs, right? For me though, this isn't really a microtransaction. And I can't believe I'm defending a big corporation here, especially when we're talking about in-game purchases, but this isn't really an in-game purchase. You buy a physical item, it's a pretty cool figure, it's like a cool action figure, and then you get more in-game content on top of that. As someone who misses a lot of the exclusive things we used to get for game releases, like, you know, you buy the premium edition of a game and you get cool minifigures or maps or like cool things that you have a physical copy of, and then it also unlocks something in the game. This is kind of exactly what that is, and I kind of like it. I'm probably gonna get a lot of hate for that because I shouldn't be defending a big video game corporation with something like this, but I kind of like it. I like getting a real physical item that as a bonus you get something in the game. I don't know. I think it's cool. I'm not upset about it, but we're moving on. You guys remember Splitgate 2? Well, 1047 Games hopes that you don't, because they're relaunching it after the horrible launch that it had the first time. And look, Splitgate 1 was awesome. I had a lot of fun in that game. The portals were cool. It added some cool, you know, gimmicks to the basic arena shooter genre that has been kind of stale for a little bit. And I really like Splitgate 1, but when Splitgate 2 came out, as a lot of people, I was quite disappointed. The maps didn't flow the same, the portals were underused, they weren't really emphasized in a game that was kind of built around them, and the microtransactions were through the roof. The devs clearly heard that criticism when they took the game down, but what I didn't expect is for them to relaunch it so quickly after. CEO Ian Prolux recently did an interview with IGN, and he said, and I quote, "Splitgate 2 at launch was not a finished product yet." And look, I respect the honesty. I love the dedication to fix your mistakes, but this trend of releasing half-baked garbage just to re-release it or update it into something that we just thought we were getting originally is getting so old. And I know I'm not the first person to say this is a huge problem in gaming as a whole, but it's just getting on my nerves, man. It feels like game companies are kind of releasing mid-games on purpose just to be the good guys who later update and fix their games so that we can all talk about them as like, oh, these guys really listened to the people and they gave us what we wanted. And like, it almost seems on purpose. Like Cyberpunk 2077 did it accidentally. I mean, can't really forgive them because that game was horrible at launch, but they really put a lot of money and time into it to fix it. But now that they've gotten a lot of praise for it and everyone loves Cyberpunk and everyone loves CD Projekt Red again, I think a lot of game companies are probably doing this on purpose, you know, releasing something that is half finished and then just updating it and re-releasing it so that, you know, people will be like, oh, look at those guys, they're giving back to the people. They're not, right? They're just making you buy it twice. They're making you pay for updates or whatever, you know, like it's just, I don't like it. But anyways, here's what Splitgate 2, the second, will have. It'll have revamped progression system, a real ranked mode, 5 brand new maps, 6 reworked maps, new game modes, new weapons, all those kinds of things, and surprisingly, and this is the big one, lower store prices. That is something I did not expect. I mean, that all sounds great, right? It's what we wanted, and I don't know if I'm going to be re-downloading it, I'm not sure, but it is a step in the right direction, even if that step is taken with some greasy-ass CEO shoes on. Have you ever been playing Cyberpunk and thought, man, this feels a lot like Pac-Man? Well, you're kind of on the right track. A CD Projekt Red programmer, Maciej Selmer, said at a conference recently that the revamped police chase system, especially after the Phantom Liberty update, was heavily inspired by Pac-Man. And honestly, this makes sense. The police chases in Cyberpunk are one of the standout features of the open world. They're tough, they're fun, they're dynamic, and it feels like the police in that game are actually like strategizing against you and trying to, you know, outflank you and block you off, and it feels real, it feels cool, and it's a great part of the game. And in Pac-Man, the ghosts all have their own little thing that they do, right? Like, there's the ghost that'll try to flank you, there's the one that tries to chase you, there's the one that, you know, sits in the way and tries to block you, but they always leave one route outwards, right? And that's kind of what Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty feels like. A 1980s arcade game inspiring a dystopian cyberpunk AAA title wasn't exactly on my bingo card, but hey, It's pretty cool, right? There were a surprising amount of game announcements this week, and most of them didn't really vibe with me. They were kind of whatever, but there was one in particular that really stood out, and that's the Godslayer. It's being made by a new studio in China, and look, you can definitely tell. The graphics are pretty archaic. The voice acting is and the writing is even more but hey, the combat, it looks great. As a certified, unapologetic Avatar The Last Airbender fanboy, this looks awesome. And it's not directly tied to the Avatar series. It's not, in that universe. It doesn't have the IP, but it does take a lot of inspiration from the bending elements kind of thing that we see in Avatar. You see in the trailer the main character uses what looks like firebending, earthbending, waterbending, and it all looks so cool, like martial arts style combat with like elemental magic, and it looks awesome. The combat looks great, even if the story is definitely going to be non-existent at best. I mean, these Chinese studios don't usually care much about the story, but either way, if the combat sticks and it looks as good as it looks in this trailer, it's definitely going to be something to check out for me at least. It doesn't have a release date yet, but it will be coming to PS5. Now onto something pretty scary for PC gamers, and we're talking about RAM and SSD. For months now, the prices of these RAM chips and SSD chips have been skyrocketing, and it's made only worse by big AI corporations gobbling up all the stock that they can get their hands on. But things, if they weren't bad already, just got a lot worse. Micron is shutting down their Crucial brand, the brand that makes probably 90% of the chips that we use in our home gaming PCs and can buy at an affordable price for everyday use. They're shutting it down to focus on supplying big AI corporations and pretty much make more money selling to companies that are developing AI rather than selling to consumers who are using it in their gaming PCs and just everyday machines, right? So what does this mean? In the short term, RAM is only going to get more expensive. If you're a PC gamer and you were planning on upgrading, tough luck, because it's going to get a lot more expensive. For console gamers, I don't think this will have as big of an impact. Console prices are usually subsidized to get people into the ecosystem, buying games, subscriptions, and all that. That's kind of where they make most of their money. But for PC gamers, the next year is going to be pretty rough. All right, last thing on the docket today is Warner Brothers is being bought out by Netflix reportedly. And this is something that's been in the news for quite some time now. I talked about it a couple weeks ago, how, who's going to buy Warner Brothers, who's going to get their gaming IP. And it seems like Netflix is the front runner. It seems like they're the one who's going to do it, although there is some news about Paramount maybe, hijacking the deal, but so far everything concrete leads to Netflix. And I kind of ignored this right off the jump when I saw it. I was like, whatever, because I assumed that the gaming division and the TV and film division were completely separate and they were going to be bought by different people. But Chris Kerr at The Game Developer recently reported that that is not true. He said, and I will quote, "A Warner Brothers Discovery spokesperson confirmed the recently restructured video game division, which includes studios like NetherRealm, Rocksteady, and TT Games, will be joining Netflix." And this sucks. Like, it really sucks. I mean, someone had to buy Warner Brothers, the games division at least. They've been missing like Shaq at the free throw line for way too long now. And it's good that they're getting sold, but I think we all wanted them to be sold to someone that, makes video games, right? Like, Netflix has been half-assing their way into this industry for a good few years now, but let's be honest, all their games are subscription-based or mobile games that no one really cares about. Like, they haven't done anything interesting. They haven't done anything that exactly, invokes confidence. It's all just kind of meh. So, I don't know. I think that the game division should have been bought by a game company. I was hopeful that Sony would buy it. That would be really cool. They make good games. They make good first-party games. But with Netflix buying it, I really hope the next Mortal Kombat game isn't a mobile game that you have to upgrade your Netflix subscription to unlock new characters. Because that would be a really depressing way for one of the greatest video game franchises to just die out, right? Like, I don't know. I might just be, in a downer kind of mood today, but this doesn't seem like good news. This seems like bad news. But anyways, the deal that they're closing in on is $82.7 billion. And that's a lot of money for the Nemesis system. I feel like someone could have just, you know, got sued by using it for a lot less, but hey, if they want to buy it, they want to buy it. Anyways, I hope they actually do something with this IP. I would love to see more classic Batman games. I would love to see, I mean, Mortal Kombat's been good recently. The last Mortal Kombat entry was amazing. But, Lord of the Rings, we need another Lord of the Rings game. Bring back the Nemesis system like I just talked about. I still want a Harry Potter Hogwarts Legacy sequel. The last one didn't really do it for me. I love Harry Potter and I played a lot of that game. But aside from the combat and the exploration, the story was just horrible, right? And honestly, the facial animation and the voice acting wasn't much better. That's just my opinion, though. That's a whole nother topic. I just hope that Netflix, if they do buy it, at least sells out their IP. Like, they buy it and then they allow other people to make games with it. I don't see them doing that. I don't know. I'm just speculating. This is me just completely going off script and speculating on what might happen. The long and short of it is Netflix looks like they're going to buy Warner Brothers, both the TV, film, and the game divisions of the company. As always, this article and all the other articles that I referenced in the video will be linked in the description if you want to check them out. They're all pretty short, so if you got TikTok brain, you should be able to handle it. But that's it for the news this week. If you like this sort of content, feel free to subscribe. You'll be helping out a small channel, you'll be making me happy, and you'll be letting me know that I'm doing an alright job. Trying my best here, okay? But yeah, comment what story caught your eye, what story you found the most interesting, and let me know what games you're playing. I always love to hear what people are playing. It helps me, decide what kind of videos I want to make. Even helps me decide which games I should put first on my backlog, because my backlog is looking like a biohazard. Anyways, I've been Janky. Stay tuned for the latest gaming news, controversies, and releases, and I will catch you in the next one.